This is the engine compartment of a really special car. It is not an original correct numbers car. It is not original Superbird, but it's the same as one in every aspect. It does have a 440 in it. It's a 4-barrel. It has a Carter AFB on it. It has a set of long tube, I'm going to call them 1 7/8", maybe 2-inch headers on it, equal length. Has a set of Edelbrock aluminum heads on it. Has a high capacity, high flow aluminum radiator in it. 7-blade fan, original Roadrunner horn, power steering, power brakes, discs in the front. It has a dual-stage master cylinder, new battery. Check this out. Fender tag is still intact on the car, and the serial number on the Corsa part is still legible and correct with the fender tag and the serial number on the dash. So this car's never been traumatized in any way. It's never been hit in the nose. It's never had any structural problems whatsoever. Everything tin-wise is still the way it was from the factory. Of course, it's had the fiberglass kit added to make it look like a real Superbird, and it does too. That's a 375 horse 440. Everything in it is fresh from the oil pan to the air cleaner. Everything has just been addressed, completely redone. Everything's been decked and bored, and all new pistons. Everything in the motor is new. Has a real nice mild cam in it. It's not wildly cammed or anything where you can't drive it. It has probably a purple stripe Mopar cam in it. Does have a set of black aluminum valve pan covers. We may change that and put the original style orange painted ones on it. If I get a chance here, I'm going to change that and put the orange painted ones. But right now, it does have aluminum pans on it. Again, all the structural pieces in the front are undisrupted in any way. The heater is still hooked up to the passenger compartment, so you do have heat if this thing would go to any of our northern states. It is now housed in Daytona Beach, Florida. Where else would you want a Superbird, right? Just a fantastic engine compartment. Big, strong motor. Has a real nice sound to it. Everything on this car has been addressed, and just as nice, clean engine compartment as you could possibly find. Let's go around the rest of this guy. Hi, you're Hanksters at Daytona Beach, Florida, and Daytona Speedway. Guess what we got? Superbird. But it's not a real one. We're going to go over a few things on it with you and show you how this is one that you can afford if you really want. Very, very nice car. I believe this is B7 blue, Mopar color. Fantastic color. It's a little bit deeper than the B5 blue. It's not quite as bright, but it's a really great color on these vehicles. The hood fitment is very, very decent for a Superbird style car. These things were not good to begin with. They were kind of hand fabricated at the last minute to go ahead and get them ready for the Daytona 500 and get Richard Petty back on board. But the paint on this car is just exemplary. It's very, very nice. There's no fogging or fading or anything in it. The paint quality itself is much, much better than a driver quality car. I mean, I'm not saying it's absolute show quality, but it's really good. I mean, the paint on this thing is something that no one can really pick at. They're going to be very, very happy with the finish on this car. It has the correct reverse scoops to let the air out actually from underneath the car. And the holes are cut in them also, so they are functional. It has hood pins on it. This is a fiberglass front end on this car. So, electric headlights, by the way, and they do work. They do function as they should. And the fitment of them is very, very close to what the original cars are. Again, the paint on this car is just very, very nice. This hood could it could use tweak this way just a hair. The gap's a little wide here, and it's a little wide over there, but it's close on that end. So we're going to take this hood, loosen it, and give it a little tweak like that. A little clockwise rotation, about 1/8 of an inch, and that should put us right where we need to be. It has the correct style bumper piece on the front, just like it should for a real Superbird. And the front fascia is the same way. Your air intake grates are just the way they were in 1970 when these cars were produced, only year. And the front spoiler painted the color of the car the way it should be. It should not be black. It should be that color of the car. Fantastic front end on this guy. Does have the Mopar style hood pins on it. very, very, very dramatic front end. The flat black accents on it and the Roadrunner Superbird designation on the front, just as nice as you'd ever hope to find. Go down the side, see what we can show you there. Okay, driver's side of our Superbird style car, Belvedere. Fitment of the fender actually to the front nose piece is very, very good. It's actually better than what you see in most of the real Superbirds today. The fitment on these cars left a lot to be desired. They were done, like I said, as a last-minute effort to prepare this car for the Daytona 500. Side marker light, really, really nice. They didn't come with wheel lip molding, so it obviously doesn't have any. Fitment of the door to the front fender to the cowl for the hood back here is actually really nice. The dash is nice and clean and clear. The correct rivets holding the VIN plate in place on the metal part of the dashboard. Padded part of the dash, really nice. There's no cracks or no deviations or no warpage whatsoever. Absolutely none. Correct wiper arms, newer style Anco style blades on it. Definitely will wipe the windshield the way it's supposed to be done. It has a sun fade shade type windshield in it, and it's a tinted window also. The correct, very expensive pieces that go on the A-pillars here, stainless steel, polished stainless, for a real Superbird. Of course, they all have vinyl tops. They never ever were produced without a vinyl top. It was, again, it was a last-minute type thing. And Plymouth wasn't able to finish these cars correctly the way Dodge was with the Daytona. So in an effort to go ahead and get the car into production and out, they put a vinyl top on it to cover up all the deficiencies that they had when they were doing the body work to fit the rear window in. Inside adjust mirror, no patina on the chrome around the wing area. Whisker wipes, really, really nice and clean and fresh. Window fitment, check this out. This is as nice as you're going to ever get window fitment on these cars. Drip rail, no marks at all. A little tiny bit of patina on the top of the door handles. Hardly noticeable, but they are original door handles. Paint on the door and fitment to the rocker panel. You can't get much better. Nice fitment to the quarter panel. Scoops inside just the way they should be. It's tin everywhere. This car is a very, very solid, nice car, which you'll see in our undercarriage presentation. Trim around the back window. Really, really nice. One little tiny ding here. You've got to really look to see it, but there is a little deviation there. Hat rack in the back is nice and fresh and clean looking. 2 aftermarket speakers in the back for the sound system that's in the car. The back window is not correct for a Superbird. Had this been a real Superbird, it would have had a convex window in the back. In other words, it would have curved this way instead of being curved in, which is concave. The window would have come clean back to here, and it would have been a sweeping convex type of glass to help with the aerodynamics of the car. Quarter panel, really, really nice on this car. Marker light in the back, as nice as you'd ever want to find. Plymouth designation on the side, just the way these guys came. Same thing, Roadrunner Superbird, the way it would be. And the correct style wing on it also, with the correct reinforcements underneath to hold this guy. This is as nice as you could possibly hope to find one of these cars. I don't see anything at all. Forgot to mention the trim around the front window. No marks, no dinghies whatsoever. Where the dashboard transitions to the windshield, also just as clean and fresh as you'd ever want to find. Nice driver's side, very, very nice. It has the correct style, a little wider than they came, but the correct style, 15-inch rally wheels that Mopar put on these vehicles. Again, BFG tires, which is everyone's choice on these vehicles. Got a fantastic driver's side on this car, a fantastic nose. There's no marks on the paint. There's no deviations or anything on it that you wouldn't find on a real Superbird. Incorrect back window, but we'll tell you about that in the end here and why this car is such a deal. Perfect driver's side. Let's go out back, see if we can show you something there. Okay, the tail section of our Superbird. Really dramatic wing on these guys. I mean, there's no way that you can't notice this on the vehicle, especially when you're coming up behind it. Or if you're in front of it looking in your mirror too. It's fantastic. Again, the paint on this car is just beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Trim around the, gap around the rear deck. Just as sweet as could possibly be. The fitment, this guy has to go down just a little bit. I think we need to push it down just a little bit. There's only rubbers and seals on this vehicle everywhere, so I'm going to guess that the two stoppers that stop this from going down a little bit further need to be trimmed off a little bit so that it actually pulls it down just a hair more. Not an issue, something that we're going to do here in-house, but it'll be a little bit better fitment than what you see now, which is still within production standards. Our little bird in the back, these didn't come with the full paint stripes treatment on the back on the Superbirds. Taillight assemblies the way they were, Plymouth designation on the back. This back panel is really nice too. The paint everywhere on this car is just exemplary. It really is. Back bumper fitment. Very, very close. It could go that way here. It's something you're not even going to notice, but I just want you to know that it is that way to the left, to the driver's side, about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch. Nothing that you'll notice even looking at it. The correct style exhaust tips out the back. Nice, clean, clear reverse lights on it. The chrome on the bumper is just as fresh and clean and deep as you'd ever hope to find. Really nice back end on this car. And we still haven't found any chips or marks or scuffs or scratches. We have one more side to go. Okay, our last side, passenger side. Again, Plymouth designation on the side of it. It is tin everywhere. This car is just totally rust-free. Trim around the back light. One more little dinghy right here. The rest of it very, very, very nice. Again, the back window nice and clean and clear. The vinyl top itself and the trim around it, the nicest you'd ever want to find. Look at the fitment of this guy, huh? That's as good as it gets. It really is. Again, the windows seal is just as clean and fresh and nice as you could hope to find. You could stand here with a high-pressure hose and not get any water in this thing. Again, I forgot to mention on the top on the other side, real nice fitment of the vinyl top. The drip rail, dinghy, broom or something fell against it here. Certainly nothing that you'd replace it with, but door handle, same as the other side. Original, but very, very nice. You could tell the car was really taken care of from when it was new. Obviously, it didn't start life as a Superbird. It was a Belvedere, but somebody really cared for this thing. Matching right-hand mirror. We were going to drive this car a little bit for show purposes, so got to have a right-hand mirror. So we did buy an expensive right-hand mirror to match the adjustable driver's side mirror. So it has both wipes, whiskers on this side, just as fresh and clean as they were on the other side. Again, no patina on the chrome. Our A-pillar piece. No marks whatsoever on the front trim. Look at this door fitment. You believe this? Look. And nice is going to get correct style antenna on it. Side marker light, nice and flush fitment. And we're back where we started. That's a big car to go around. Nice long car. These cars were a purpose-built vehicle. They were made for one purpose, to go fast, high speed. And Plymouth accomplished that. And if you look at the records, you can see Richard Petty showed what this car could do. They only made them 1 year, 1970. Very light numbers on these cars. Very, very few of them were produced. I know they had to produce at least 500 of them. to conform to the ruling, but a little more than that were produced. These things were just iconic cars. Other than Ford with the Talladega, no one else ever produced a vehicle that was this dramatic, especially with the aerodynamics that this car incorporated. It's a vehicle that's available here at Hangsters. Great color combination. It is not a correct real Superbird, but it's going to be half the price of a real one. If you want a real one, we got one. In fact, we have more than one. But we do have one here in white that we're going to be doing a video presentation on that's totally correct in every way, and it's going to be twice the money that you can buy this one for. So you have all the dramatics that you have on any actual Superbird, with the exception of the back window, which unless someone's a purist, they're not going to know the difference between a concave and a convex rear window and the placement of it. For all intents and purposes, this car, whenever you see it, it's going to be a real Superbird. It has a 440 power plant the way it would have come with, 727, column shift automatic, power steering, power brakes, discs in the front. This thing is just a Superbird in every sense of the word. It's a car that you really got to come take a look at, or if you can't, that's why Devin and I are doing these video presentations for you, to show you all the amenities of the car and any deficiencies, which we did pick out some. You saw me, a little dingy here, a little dingy there, deck needs adjusted a tiny bit, the hood has to have a little tweak to the right. So we're not telling you every car is perfect. We're going to show you any deficiencies that we pick out as we go around these vehicles. I'm really excited about this car. This thing is, in every sense of the word, you're driving a real Superbird. There's really no way that you can tell this thing is not, other than the serial number. It's a car that no matter where you go, people are going to flock around this thing. There's no way that you're going to get anywhere without getting attention if you have this vehicle. It's nominally priced. Again, it's going to be half the price of a real one. So you really need to take a look at it. It's here at Hangsters in Daytona Beach. We'd love for you to come down and look at it and drive it and put it up on the rack and enjoy everything we have to show about the vehicle. But if you can't, that's why these videos are put up for you. So take a look at it. Hangsters, Daytona Beach. Well, we're inside of our 1970, only year they produced them, Superbird style Plymouth Belvedere. This car's in fantastic condition. Headliner, tight as a drum. Sun visors, none of the stitching coming loose, and nice and tight just the way they should be. Shoulder belts in the roof line the way they were. The correct Mopar steering wheel, I don't think. There's one hairline crack here, which is really unusual because most of these are cracked all over the place. Horn ring just as nice as you'd ever hope to find. Roadrunner designation in the center. Nice soft pliable tri-spokes on it. Nice clear dash in this vehicle. Very, very nice clear dash in it. There's a little scratch here. I don't know why it's there, but there's a scratch on the vinyl from something. Again, speedometer just as nice and clean, as clear as you'd ever want to find. The trio of gauges that Mopar supplied, the fuel, temp, and the amp. And it also has a trio of auxiliary gauges down here. Again, the same thing, amp, water temperature, and oil pressure, which is a good thing to have. Radio, the correct style Mopar radio for 1970. They didn't have wheel radios in 70 unless you got the 8-track player. That's when you got a wheel type radio. Otherwise it had a conventional knob radio in it. Column mounted shifter, everything nice and clean. Dome light still functioning just as it should. There are seat belts in the rear and seat belts in the front of this, in addition to the shoulder belts that I mentioned in the roof line. The interior in this car is just absolutely beautiful. It's a bench seat, obviously, but the interior's nice and freshly padded, nice high-grade vinyl, loop-style carpeting, all brand new and fresh. It looks like the original door seals on it, and they didn't need to be replaced. They're in very, very good condition. The doors up front, well, the only doors we got, just as nice and clean as can be. all the chrome on them, your door actuators, and your window cranks, nice and fresh. Molded style armrests, the way they came from the factory instead of just being recovered with some vinyl. Panels in the back the same way as the front. They do have a armrest in the back with trash trays in them, the way they did them back then. New window cranks in the rear also. There's absolutely nothing in this car that you could fault it for. All new rubbers, everything has been replaced rubber-wise, trunk, doors, windows, everything. This is all new, nice fresh rubber on it. When you look inside the doors and front part of the door jambs, everything is nice and clean and crisp, just the way it would if this car were a brand new car today. Glove box on the dashboard. There's absolutely nothing that you could detract from on the inside of this car. It's the same as the outside. No, it's not a real bona fide Superbird, but it presents itself as such. And you're only going to have half the money in this one that you would a real one and still garner the same amount of attention. Fantastic car. Take a look at it because it's here at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida, where it originated for Daytona Speedway. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, this is great. I feel like King Richard in this thing. His was Petty Blue. Ours is B7 Blue, but that's okay. Close enough. Alternator working in the dash, and it's working on the trio gauges we got too. Oil pressure holding about, I don't know, 60 pounds here at an idle. Temperature just starting to come up. Temperature starting to come up here too, I think. A quarter of a tank of fuel. Let me see here. Left wiper, blinker. Turn signal working as it should. There's your indicator light. Right one, same way, doing its job just like it should. Let's see here. Got our beep beep horn. Full wipers working away, which we better get the heck out of here and get our drive in before it rains, because if they're not wanting to stop where they're supposed to. Okay. All right, let's go for a ride here before we get rained out. Wow, what a great iconic car, huh? The Superbird. You realize these things were going right around 200 mile an hour around the speedway. And again, Mopar, can't stay ahead of them. They always came out with the best of the best. Car goes down the road straight. There, no hands on the wheel. Let's see if it brakes. No hands. Okay, there's no hands braking. Oop. Really nice firm shifts on this guy too. Each shift is nice and clean and crisp, second to third, first to second. Nice car. No shakes, rattles, shimmies, nothing. Look. We were trying to leave the lot so that we could do our test drive, and people saw the car and pulled in and had to look at the car and photograph it before we could even leave. We just pulled it outside. This thing is just a really, really, really nice car. Give it a little squirt here. Shut that off. This guy up front won't like us on the bed of his truck. Nice firm shifts, nice straight running car, lots of power, strong 440, all fresh. See all the gauges working as they should. Water temperature, nice and cool yet. It's what is that, Devin? About 190, 180, 180. Yeah, it's real nice. I like it. What a fantastic car, you know. This is going to make someone a great toy. I mean, absolutely a great toy. You're going to garner so much attention in this thing, you won't believe it. You're going to have to, I don't know, you're going to talk to a lot of people and take a long time going to the store and back because you're going to be out in the parking lot for a while playing 20 questions. But what a great car, great condition, fantastic heritage. It's available here at Hanksters. You got to take a look at this one because it is really priced very nominally for what is put into this car to make it to this point. And again, it's not a real one, but boy oh boy, it's half the price of a real one. And you're going to enjoy it just as much. It runs like one, it looks like one, it feels like one. Nice car. Well, we are underneath our Superbird style Belvedere. And again, this thing is a real Superbird in every sense of the word, except for the numbers. Started life as a Belvedere. It does have a fresh, period correct 1969 date-coded 440 hypo engine in it. It does. It's fresh from the oil pan to the air cleaner. Everything in that engine is new. Same thing with the 727 tranny. It's got a real deep pan on it. A set of long tube, inch and 3/4, maybe 2 inch. Inch and 7/8 we'll call them headers, long tube headers, go into 3-inch collectors, go into 2.5-inch stainless steel exhaust system. You see there's no leaks on the engine. I don't see anything leaking at this point on the transmission. New cooling lines going forward to the aluminum radiators that's up front. K-members not disrupted or messed up in any way. New shocks in the front, disc brakes in the front, new calipers, new rotors, new backing plates. Let's see. There's no leaks on the steering box. I don't see anything at all. Subframes on this thing are absolutely the way they were when they were new, and the inner fender panel drop down, so no one's made any attempt to jack them up on this one. Thank God. A lot of guys do that and somehow manage to distort that. This has absolutely none. There's no real marks on it. A little tiny superficial thing from the jack stand. Not even worth mentioning. There is a proportioning valve here so that you can adjust the front brake pressure actuation for the power disc brakes that are on this car. It's a JEGS item. It actually does function very, very well. You can control the amount of brake pressure toward the front and the back. Subframes on this thing, again, like I said, are absolutely brand new. The floor pans are the original floor pans. They have not been replaced, nor do they need to be, nor have they had any work at all through the years. These things are absolutely as they were in 1970 when they left the plant. Cross member where the transmission mount is, which is also a new mount. Just as nice and fresh as could possibly be. No leaks on the tail shaft. New universal joint front, new universal joint rear. Again, these floor pans with the original sound deadener splatter material that Chrysler did. It was a fibrous material they used that people called it undercoating. It was not undercoating. It was a sound deadener material that Mopar used, and the other manufacturers also, to go ahead and help with the sound deadening of the vehicle. So it didn't sound like a tin can when you were driving it down the road. Parking brake, original and functional. All set up just the way it should be. Again, stainless 2.5-inch pipes going into stainless turbo-style mufflers. Have a real nice deep rumble to them, a real nice deep tone to them. Subframes in the rear, and one little tiny jack mark here. I don't see any on this side at all. Your torque boxes in the front for your leaf springs are just absolutely like the way they were when they were new. Could possibly not be any better. New shocks in the rear to complement the new shocks in the front. Drum brakes in the rear. Multi-leaf rear springs in this vehicle. It does have an extra couple of leaves on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaves. We got 7 leaves apparently on each side. Really nice set of springs on this guy. 8 3/4 heavy-duty Mopar rear end. 2.5-inch. I'm going to call them 2 1/4 going out of the mufflers into the correct style exhaust tips. The original style gas tank in it. I can't tell if it is original or not, but there are no marks or dents or any distortion whatsoever to it. The drop downs in the quarter panels are the original ones. They still have the pinch weld still evident on the bottoms of the quarter panels. Subframes where they transition to the rear to that cross member are just as nice as you'd ever want. A couple of pulls in the holes from someone way back when hooking their hooks to tie this thing down in transport, and they pulled them a little bit. They're not ripped drastically, but a little tiny bit of a tear on the very edge. Certainly nothing that you'd ever try to address. You leave it alone. It's just originality. It's the way these cars were shipped back then, and something that you see on these vehicles every once in a while. Brand new round of rubber on it, front and rear, and I don't know what size you'll have to look. Donnie will have the specs up on the vehicle telling you what the tire size actually is, but there's some serious rubber on the back of this thing. It's got some real big fat meats on the back of it. The undercarriage of this thing is as nice as you're ever going to find. It does have a period correct, era correct 440 hypo engine in it that's fresh from the oil pan to the air cleaner, and the same thing with the transmission. Everything is just completely redone on this vehicle. They started with a totally rust-free southern body for this vehicle. The chrome on the back bumper is exemplary. All the subframes are just as nice as can be. You can see there's no leaks on the engine. The exhaust system is all stainless steel, and it's as nice as you'd ever want to find. New universal joint in the back, I forgot to mention that. And again, the floor pans, original. Brake lines also. They are the original brake lines that were installed on this car new, and the original fuel line still intact. So this guy has a lot of originality to it and a lot of amenities added to it to make it into a Superbird style car. This is something that if you're in the market for a real Superbird but you don't have quite the cabbage to secure one of those, then this is your guy. And it's here in Daytona Beach. Come take a look at it. Drive down, fly down. We'd love to show it to you in person. But if you can't, that's why we're doing these videos. Devin does a heck of a job putting up about 90 photographs of these vehicles so that you can see them in detail, high-resolution photographs. And we're trying to present this car to you in the best way that we possibly can. Thanks for watching it.